act as a dipstick. It's securely mounted. All my hoses and wires, they're not cut on the frame. All my nuts and bolts are present, and it's securely mounted to the bus. My compressor is not cracked, they're broken. All hoses and wires and clamps are present. They're not cut on the frame. My compressor is not cracked, they're broken, and it's securely mounted to the bus. My compressor belt is not cut on the frame. When depressed in the middle, there's no more than 3/4 inch of play, and it's securely mounted to the bus. I have my oil and transmission fluid dipsticks. They're not cracked, they're broken, they're not leaking. I check my oil with the bus off. I check my transmission with the bus running. To check them, I will pull them out, wipe them off, put them back in, put it back out. It should be between add and 4, and then both securely mounted to the bus. This is my steering arm. It's not cracked in it or broken. The U-bolts, the U-joints and the couplings are present. They're not twisted. They're not cracked in it or broken. And they're securely mounted to the bus. My steering box is not cracked in it or broken. It's not leaking. All nuts and bolts are in place. It's securely mounted to the bus. My power steering hoses, they're not cut on the frame. The clamps are in place. They're securely mounted to the bus. This hose leads to my power steering pump, which is located on that side of the frame. It appears to not be cracked or broken with no leaks. It's gear driven. All nuts and bolts are in place, and it's securely mounted to the bus. This is my shock absorber. It's not cracked in it or broken. There's no leaks. All nuts and bolts and bushings are in place, and it's securely mounted to the bus. This is my 3-arm steering linkage. It's not cracked or broken. All nuts and bolts, cotter pins, and bushings are in place. And this is securely mounted to the bus. Then I have my spring mounts. There's 2, one here, one back there. They're not cracked in it or broken. All nuts and bolts are in place, and it's securely mounted to the bus. I have my springs. They're not cracked in or broken or shifted. The U-bolts and the bushings are in place. And the U-bolts are not cracked in or broken. It's securely mounted to the bus. This is my hydraulic fluid brake line. It's not cut on the frame. It's not leaking. All clamps are in place, and it's securely mounted to the bus. I have my brake caliper. The brake caliper is not cracked or broken or leaking. All nuts and bolts are in place, and it's securely mounted to the bus. Well, the rotor right here is not cracked in it or broken. There's no silver shavings, and it's securely mounted to the bus. My brake pads between the rotor and the caliper, they're evenly worn. That's not cracked in or broken, and they're securely mounted to the bus. This is my front tire. My front tire is not cut on the frame. There's no bulges on either side, or the inside or outside walls. The tread depth should be no more than 4/32 in tread depth. It's evenly worn. It's securely mounted to the rim lip. There's no rust in between. The rim lip is not cracked in or broken. But the rim itself is not cracked in or broken or welded. It's securely mounted to the bus. All my lug nuts are present. They're not cracked in or broken or missing. There's no rust or no silver shavings. Rust will indicate that they were too loose. Silver shavings will indicate that they're too tight. My hub all seal is not cracked in or broken or leaking. All the nuts and bolts are in place, and it's securely mounted to the bus. My sight glass is right here. It's not cracked, chipped, or broken. It's not leaking. and it should show that the oil level is at an adequate level. My what air vest stem? Oh, here you go. Air vest stem is not cracked in or broken. My cap is in place. It's not leaking. I will use a commercial grade air gauge to check the tire pressure, and the proper PSI is located on the sidewall of my tire. My mud flap is not cut on the frame. All nuts and bolts are in place, and it's securely mounted to my bus. All my remaining hoses and wires are not cut on the frame. They're securely mounted. All the nut bolts and clamps are in place. Everything on this side of the bus applies to the other side of the bus with a few exceptions. On this side, I have my alternator. It's not cracked or broken. All nuts and bolts are in place. All of my wires are intact. They're not cut on the thread or exposed. It's securely mounted to the bus. I have my water pump right here. It's not not cracked or broken or leaking. All nuts and bolts are in place, and it's securely mounted to the bus. My alternator and my water pump are both belt driven. This is my serpentine belt. It's not cut on the thread. When depressed in the middle, there's no more than 3/4 inch of plate, and it's securely mounted to the bus. This is my windshield washer fluid reservoir. It's not cracked or broken. It's not leaking. The cap is present. All nuts and bolts are in place, and it's securely mounted to the bus. All the remaining hoses and wires are not cut on the frame. Clamps and nuts and bolts are in place, and they're securely mounted to the bus. And that completes under the hood.